Hello and welcome to this Cyberden interview highlight video. This is where we check out some of the funniest and most memorable moments from previous Cyberden interviews. First up, we have the voice of Duke Nukem himself, Jon St. John. Thanks for coming, mate.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Jake.
So, John, tell us about the auditioning process. How did you get the role of Duke Nukem?
Oh, it was a blast. I mean, the actual audition process, we had George Broussard, who is one of the creators of Duke Nukem, on the phone from Texas with Lonnie Manella and myself in a studio in San Diego. And they were trying to figure out what the voice should sound like. And I know George had something else in mind originally, but then Lonnie said to me, think of Dirty Harry. Think of the Clint Eastwood character going, "Go ahead, punk. Make my day," you know, with his teeth clenched.
Yeah.
And George said, that's the right attitude and the right sound, but can you, Duke is a roided out, big old superhero guy. Can you maybe lower the octave? And I went, "Go ahead, make my day." And George right there said, "That's the voice we want. That's our Duke Nukem. Record it." And that's pretty much how the process happened for me to get that game. It's funny too, by the way, Jake, the next game I did after that was Candyland.
Wow, they're action-packed.
I know, right? So, from Duke Nukem to Candyland, that's a little strange.
Do you think Candyland was going to be as big as Duke Nukem 3D?
No. I'd be surprised if anybody has that game anymore. I mean, I have a copy of it, but I don't know anybody who ever played it. It was pretty cool, though. I got to do nearly all of the male cast of that game. I play 5 or 6 different characters. So I was impressed by my work on that one.
Are there any other voice roles that really stood out to you?
I think one in particular, because I thought my performance was pretty good, and it created such a vocal strain that I lost my voice for 2 days, was the Sweet Tooth spokesperson in Twisted Metal 4.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I really enjoyed doing that one because it felt very maniacal to me. It was my voice was a kind of a ripoff of the Crypt Keeper from Tales of the Crypt.
But he spoke like this, and it's hard to do this voice for a long period of time, especially when you're so maniacal and laughing.
So, you can imagine after, 4 or 5 hours in the studio of doing that, I lost my voice for a while. But the performance was pretty good when you watch the introduction of Twisted Metal 4. I think it sounds like I really channeled some evil from inside somewhere.
Definitely sounded scary. I just wet myself. Oh.
Towel, please.
Thank you very much, Jon St. John. Now it's over to Joe Kucan, none other than Kane from Command & Conquer.
Good morning, Jake. How's it going, man?
Doing well, thank you. All right then, Joe, so please tell everyone listening, how did you get the role of Kane?
That's an interesting story, Jake. Alien abduction, actually. No, it's true. I've never told this story before. I've never told the truth about how it happened, but I was out walking in the fields of Las Vegas. A lot of people don't know, a lot of green meadows out here in Vegas, and one evening I was just out strolling about, and I saw a bright light in the sky, zipping along, making strange, drastic cuts back and forth across the night sky, and it zipped over, and suddenly hovering above my head was a giant space saucer, just like you would see in the movies, and a bright blue light came down and drew me up into the ship, and they said, "You, Joe Koukin, have been selected to play the role of Kane." And that very moment, they shaved my head, slapped a goatee on my otherwise bare face, and threw me down into the studios at Westwood. And that's how it happened. Alien abduction. It's an absolutely true story. As I mentioned earlier, I really can't lie.
It's funny you should mention that, Joe. That's actually how I got the job here at Siren Radio.
I'm telling you, the aliens control everything. I wouldn't have believed it if it hadn't happened to me.
I knew it all along.
The aliens chose well in you, Jake. You have a voice made for radio. And as a lot of people come to me and say, "Joe, you have a face made for radio." So this is the perfect blend, the two of us here, Jake.
A lot of fans were really bummed, myself included, when EA decided to pull the plug on Kane and just completely kill him off in Command & Conquer 4 Tiberium Twilight.
It's really nice to hear that, Jake, and thank you for that. I have to say it was a surprise to me, and quite frankly, looking at the numbers, none of the Command & Conquer games ever lost money. In fact, they all made significant amounts of money. The franchise itself has, to this point, sold well over 35 million units worldwide. It seems like an interesting decision, but who am I to second guess the geniuses at EA? It's, the proof is in the pudding, my friend. And as EA continues to storm the world with its high quality business model and games, I don't think that I can play armchair quarterback to such genius decision making.
Thank you very much, Joe. Now it's over to David Bateson, the voice of 47 from the Hitman series. Thanks for coming, mate.
My pleasure. Nice to be here.
Now, David, you've been quite vocal when it comes to Hollywood's attempt at trying to make movies for the Hitman series. Why so? Where do you think that they were going wrong, especially with the first ever movie?
Oh, don't get me started. There's a couple of things here. Obviously, when they were gearing up to for the first film, there was a move afoot to get me into the film, obviously, as Agent 47, and give me a crack at a screen test, of which I made it absolutely clear that I was willing to fly to LA and see who I needed to see at 20th Century Fox. And things changed because first they had Vin Diesel on board, and they went, oh, no, it's all going to be about bazookas and car chases and, oh, flippin' heck. Everything that this European franchise is not. And I'm not knocking, American action films, but this was one occasion where the way they were setting it up in PR was that it was about this legend, the silent assassin. Who is he? No one knew what he looked like because if you met him, you were dead. That anonymity approach to the pre-publicity gave me, for once in my life, a chance of having a crack at it. But it was not to be. Timothy Oliphant was one of the actors, 20th Century Fox, and I guess they were quite looking for a trilogy. In that way, using one of their own actors was a smart move. I could control it a bit more and, come with a complete package. To IO Interactive or Square Enix, it was all down to politics, really, in the end. And I said, come on, guys, just give me a crack. 15 minutes of your time, and I'll walk away. But I think I can nail this guy. Anyway, it wasn't to be, and nothing wrong against Timothy Oliphant as an actor. It's just that he has this incredibly young face. And the moment you removed his hair, he looked about 12. It's like, does your mummy know where you are? That's not his fault. He's an actor, a jobbing actor like us all. Take the job when they come. But I just thought that was unfortunate. It was a blown opportunity, and it would have been quite a really an adventurous thing to at least have tried me out. The up-and-coming film, I don't know much about that. Things have changed here, so I don't even know who's on board and who isn't on board. But obviously, sadly, with the loss of Paul Walker, he was very much in the game for playing the role. And before that, was Bruce Willis signed to play it, so I don't know what happened there. So maybe you can tell me something I don't know. It's too obvious a trap to avoid, and they're going to make a big bang picture with a love interest and a car chase, but it wasn't Hitman.
David, thank you very much for coming on board. Last but not least, we have Paul Eiding, the voice of Colonel Campbell from the Metal Gear series.
Totally my pleasure, my friend.
Now, Paul, let's talk about one of the most infamous moments in Metal Gear history. In Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, you voiced the Crazy Colonel, and he started spouting all sorts of crazy things about needing 61 scissors and telling the gamers to turn off their game console. What were your thoughts about this when you were recording those lines?
They did a funny thing to me. We recorded everything. We did everything. They said, everything will come clear later on. Don't worry about it. Just read. At the end of the session, they gave me a page with all these really strange things. The driving home on the last Thursday and the sky turned orange and all that sort of thing. And my favorite, I hear it's amazing when the famous purple stuffed worm in Flapjaw Space with a tuning fork does a raw blink on Harry Carey Rock. I need scissors, 61. That was all at the end of the session. And they gave me the page, said, just read it. Don't worry about it. Just, you don't have to know what it means yet. So they wouldn't even tell us what was going on.
I remember that moment in Metal Gear Solid 2 so well when you, as the Colonel, started saying, "Turn the game console off right now, you've been playing it too long." I'm like, how does he know?
I've heard that so many times. People have told me that they've played the game for 5, 6, 7 hours straight. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm telling them to turn it off now. And a couple of guys said, and I did it. And it's like, after I turned it off, I said, what did I just do? It's a great game. Just a great game.
Thank you very much for checking out this highlight reel. And Paul, let me just say, I'm going to hit the action button to end this call. Bad news, Paul. I think the guard spotted me. I gotta go.
Jake, you read me. Jake! Jake! This is Colonel Campbell. Be sure to check out Jake on the Cyberden for your weekly dose of tech and games. Do it, or you may cause a time paradox.